What is up, guys? Welcome back to Wrestle Wellbeing. I'm your host, Jim, and we've got another episode of the Unseen Battles where I've got a very fantastic guest today. But before we get into the episode and before I introduce my guest, I have to talk about the Hot Tag Foundation. People that are subscribed to the channel and are regular viewers of the channel will know, but for those of you that are here for the first time, well, obviously, welcome to Wrestle Wellbeing. Hopefully, you'll like this episode. Make sure you give this video a like, share it with your friends, and give the channel a subscribe. So, on to the Hot Tag Foundation. The Hot Tag Foundation is a non-profit organisation based here in the UK that aims to share wrestling with children across Britain, particularly those in need. The activities that they do are collecting donations of wrestling items such as toys, merchandise, and other wrestling-related goods, personalising and packaging the donations, distributing the items to children and young people. This usually happens around Christmas and other holidays, promoting kindness, generosity, and well-being. So, in essence, the Hot Tag Foundation leverages the appeal of professional wrestling to bring joy and a sense of real-life superheroes to children, especially those facing challenging circumstances. I'm going to play a short clip that's around 2 minutes long. That is going to explain all this. It also has links with QR codes to various UK wrestling indie shows and companies all up and down the country. So make sure you check those out, guys, and we'll see you in 2 minutes.
Ready for
So there you are, guys. That is the Hot Tag Foundation. Make sure you go check those guys out, along with all the UK indie wrestling companies up and down the UK. But now, on to today's video of the Unseen Battles. And I am joined by a very special guest. He is the leader of the firing squad. He is the rogue, the silencer, Damian Black. Damian, welcome.
Hi, thank you. What an introduction. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to having a good chat. Thank you.
I'm absolutely honoured to have you on, mate. And funnily enough, you are one of the very, very few people that actually reached out to me in person to actually come on to today's show. So I'm absolutely honoured to have you on today, mate.
No, thank you. I think you're doing something here that I never said not many, but I don't think any other podcasts are really doing in the wrestling space, having discussions about well-being, mental health, and the kind of mental side of being a pro wrestler in the industry and even as a fan. So absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you for the kind words, mate. I really do appreciate it. So another awesome thing about having Damian on today is that myself and Liam from the Magic Wrestling podcast are actually off to see Damian do what he does best, and that is kick people's asses on at UK Wrestling's WrestleBration Aftermath at the end of this month on the 30th of August. Massively looking forward to it. Can't wait for to see Damian do what he does best, and that is kick people's asses.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got a Yorkshireman in the crosshairs coming after that dream ticket at Aftermath. You know, it's time to get back up on top of the company, get myself and the firing squad back where we belong at the top. And yeah, there's no perfect time to do it then with yourselves in attendance. We can have a chat there, we can catch up there, and yeah, you guys will be in the room for it, so it'll be good.
Can't wait for it, mate. Can't wait for it. So if it's all good with you, mate, we'll jump straight into the questions and let's talk about some stuff.
Go for it.
Quick little intro for you guys. So for those of you that have watched the channel before, you know what the deal is. For those of you that are watching for the first time, this is how today's episode is going to go. We're going to be talking to Damian about his introduction to wrestling, how he wanted to become a wrestler, his journey then through wrestling, and then obviously the nitty-gritty part where it gets a bit dark and where it gets a bit deep, the mental health side of things. So first off, Damian, mate, take us back to when you first wanted to become a professional wrestler. Was it a childhood dream, or is it something that you sort of like fell into later on in years?
Kind of both. So as a kid, as most people do, you grow up watching wrestling. You think, oh, it'll be so cool to be a wrestler. You do a little bit of wrestling in the front room with your friends, or siblings sometimes in my case. And yeah, so when I was 15, a friend of mine, we were just hanging out as you do, and you say, oh, I found a wrestling school. Do you fancy giving it a go? And I was like, yeah, sure, man. Yeah, sounds great. And I thought, it was like karate or judo or something. You go along and you do some bits, and then going there, learning the basics, learning how to grapple, learning how to roll, maneuver, flexibility, conditioning. We did all that kind of stuff first. And then you start to learn the intricacies of putting a match together and, working, selling, and all that stuff. And that was with the IWF in Newcastle, a promotion where Pac used to train there when we were there. So, which will lead into later. But yeah, that was a great experience. That's when I kind of learned kind of what wrestling was, and it's that stereotypical thing of the more I learned about it, the more I kind of fell in love with the process, the storytelling, the interaction. I was too young to wrestle, but I was still going to help out at shows and seeing the way the crowd are, and the atmosphere in the room is just infectious. So yeah, I wanted to do that. I drifted away from it for a little while. Life gets in the way, work, education. I played American football for a bit. And after a couple of years of that, funnily enough, I stopped playing American football because I'd had a couple of blows to the head and thought, you know what, I need something where I won't get injured. So I left, and kind of the same day or within a couple of days, I think, of me kind of walking away from football, I got a message from a guy called Dave Carbon, who's a well-known name around the Newcastle area. Again, I used to know him years ago when I trained as a 15-year-old kid. And I actually worked with him in like retail a couple of years later as well, which is weird. It's a small world. And he pretty much messaged me straight away, went, oh, mate, so you'll be wrestling again then, won't you? And I was like, will I? What? And then I thought, you know what, I might. So I had a look, and I think I was looking at some stuff on YouTube. And so at the time, this is like 2016, I want to say. And I remember watching something on YouTube, and I recognized somebody, and I was like, I know that guy. And I messaged Dave back. I was like, is Pac in the WWE? And he was like, oh yeah, he's Neville. I'm like, oh right, really? Whoa, I knew that guy. So that was like a big moment for me as well. And then like a week later, I was in training. And I kind of haven't looked back. Started working shows in 2019. Started off as a babyface, you know, good guy, and then I think leaning back into that love of the storytelling, love of the crowd interaction, that actually led me more down the side of playing a villain, playing the heel more so. And that led into me starting to wrestle all around Newcastle, eventually all around the UK. And it's been great. And that's kind of the journey I'm on now. So it's been a good time.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. So, can you describe your training experience when you first stepped into that training center? What was it like stepping into the ring for the first time and obviously taking that first bump?
Of course. So I don't really remember it too well as a 15-year-old. Because at the time you're still a kid, you're excited to be doing anything. But I remember coming back to it after those couple of years I was away from it. And I started training with Full Tilt Wrestling in Newcastle. And yeah, getting in the ring, you know, you've got an idea of keeping fit and maneuverability, flexibility, all of that, fair enough. And then, yeah, I remember taking my first bump that would have been in years at this point. I just remember not quite doing it right and remembering like, oh man, that kind of took the wind out of me a little bit. So kind of since then, it's putting an effort into making it, making sure you do it right every time. One of the best things I was ever told about it was, it sounds counterproductive or counterintuitive, but the harder you hit the mat, the less you'll feel it. So I just got into this habit of like really like snapping my bumps back. You know, sometimes even overhead, snapping my arms back and using all of this surface area to help with the impact. It depends how snappy I'm trying to make the bump, to be honest. And then after that, it was, right, you've done the bump, brilliant, right, that one didn't hurt so much. You feel it, but it doesn't hurt. Boom, right, that's done. And now I've got to work on what? Getting up fast. Oh no. So like you're doing a bump and feed drill next and down and you're up and you're down and you're up. And that those first couple of months I was back in training, my cardio was blown to bits. Because it's just so much. it's quite hard in a short amount of time to be down and up so much. And then you start factoring in things like selling, factoring in like crowd work, and you're like, man, when do I get my breath? Like, it's great. So I was fortunate in that we got to train in a ring every week. Again, when I was like a 15-year-old kid, it was, I don't think I ever actually saw time inside of a wrestling ring unless it was show day, and I got to go in and practice some roles or whatever. Because we were very much that typical, we train on the floor on like judo mats basically. So this was the first school I've been to as well, where every single week you go there and the ring's up. Well, it's not up, you put it up. But even that in itself is a good experience because you've got all these trainees coming into your school and they're learning not only how to wrestle, but they're learning how to run a wrestling show. So you've got guys who are coming in, they're putting the ring up, working in the ring, training in the ring, and then you're taking it down at the end of the session. And it gets you so fluid and so kind of effective at doing that. And it becomes just a part of the job to you, really, which is such a fundamental thing, I think. Learning as many bits of the business, as they call it, as you can, really. I've got some time refereeing in, I've worked singles, I've worked tag now, so I've done a lot of different stuff, which is a blessing because it means you can be prepared for a lot of situations. If, something happens and you need to get a ring up in a hurry, I'm confident I can do that. I can also get one down in a hurry if I have to. So it's good. You learn a lot of these skills, and obviously you meet a lot of good people doing it. So it's been a great little trek so far.
It's awesome, mate. It's awesome. So, what have been some of the most memorable moments or matches in your career so far?
Ooh, excellent. There's a few to choose from. Okay, so I have the first time that I ever had a championship match, a singles championship match, I should say, sorry, which was when I was still at Full Tilt Wrestling. And I got a title shot after winning a fatal four-way against Boris Kozlov, who was the heavyweight champion at the time. I was quite surprised because when I won the four-way, again, I'm working heel, I'm a villain. But I was quite surprised because the crowd were really behind me, and I was thinking, I remember being stood in the ring and having my hand raised by the ref, and I was kind of looking around the crowd going, this is a little bit surreal, because these people should hate me. And any other time they would be booing me. But I'm going in this championship match now, and they're behind me, they were chanting for me. I was like, whoa, that's like a strange feeling. And the match was great. I learned a lot from Bob Koslov. The first time I won a tag team championship with my tag team partner, Nicholas Gray, that was a phenomenal feeling as well. We were in a ladder match at Full Tilt Wrestling and put on what the promoter called himself, like one of the best matches he's had in the promotion. So that was special to me, and it was a great moment to share with my tag team partner. Our opponents as well were great. You know, you've got like two quite bigger, bruisier guys versus two very fast, whippy, you know, smaller lads, and it was just that speed v power through the whole thing. So that was good. Definitely have to give two shout outs to UK Wrestling for my career highlights. One for that's where I actually won my first ever singles championship, which was the UK Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship, which I held for like a year. So that was a hell of a run, hell of a moment. Great match I had with Jonathan Sedgwick. Lots of backwards and forwards, great moment. And that championship run was phenomenal to me because the company put so much trust in me. They had given me such a strong kind of direction, a strong kind of run with the championship. And I got to come in, work all kinds of people for them. You know, I was showing up on weekly programming, pay-per-views, and I was getting to mix with and work with people I wouldn't otherwise. And then the other kind of big career highlight for me so far has also been at UK Wrestling, which has been being able to form the firing squad. It's been a long-time goal of mine for a while. Everyone has their goals in whatever job they're doing, and for some reason mine has been since 2020 to have a faction for some reason. Not necessarily to like have a faction, but to be a part of a faction. Don't know why, it's just always been the goal. Something I'd never done before. And I had a chat with a couple of guys at UK Wrestling. Damon Crow and Dylan Chase, who was going by Uther at the time. They were already a tag team. We talked some ideas, and then we went to Jonathan and said, hey, we want to make a faction. Here's some ideas we've got. And he just came in, yeah, go for it. So we got to do that, and we were, you know, we've been given a lot of creative control over it. It's very much our thing. We're looking to take it all around the UK. We're looking to expand, bring more members in, because we want to make it a real kind of, not just a wrestling faction in a promotion, but we want it to be a place where wrestlers can come in, male, female, anything, can come in, work with us. We all help each other out. We all have each other's backs, and we help each other find more work, and we look after each other. We keep a group chat going, and, you know, if somebody's having a great match, a bad match, a great week, a bad week, anything, we chat in there. We're all there for each other. So it's a support network behind the curtain. But then obviously in front of the curtain, it's a absolutely vicious heel faction, which, yeah, we've done a lot of work with that. You know, Dylan Chase is still in the group with me now. We've got Tyler Tarantino, who joined us when he made his debut, and he's been phenomenal ever since. And Kirsty Love as well, currently our only female member, who is one of the standout names in all of the Scottish wrestling scene. So we have like a really strong membership base at the moment. So yeah, that's sorry to ramble a bit about it, but that's also been another massive career highlight for me so far, which is still going. So that's good.
That's awesome, mate. No need to apologise whatsoever. As I said, mate, you can ramble on as much as you like. At the end of the day, today's episode's about you, bud. So really appreciate you basically telling your story. It's awesome to hear. So who would you say are some of the wrestlers that have inspired you throughout your journey so far?
Inspired me. So from being a kid, this probably now I'm thinking about it. Actually, I've just realised I think this factors into the faction idea. But from being a kid, my absolute favourite all-time wrestler hero, however you want to put it, absolute legend. It's Triple H. Massive fan of Triple H from being little, always have been. When I was younger, I saw a lot of DX. So that's probably, somewhere subliminally become the inspiration for forming a faction of my own. But Triple H, amazing, one of the best to ever do it. Such a great mind for the business in and out of the ring. Hell of a guy. So yeah, for sure, Triple H. Been a big Randy Orton fan for a while as well. Again, great guy, but what he does in the ring is phenomenal. He's phenomenally skilled. He's had a long career. Works to longevity as well. He's such a good pair of hands in the ring that you're like, right, cool. That's somebody you definitely want to emulate if you're being a pro wrestler. And then some more non-WWE ones, I guess I should have. Katsuhiko Nakajima, Japanese wrestler. Very hard-hitting, very strong style, but he's a great worker. I've watched probably not all, but I've watched a lot of his matches, from DDT, Pro Wrestling Nowhere, and I still keep up with his work now. And Tamatonga as well. I've got to give Tamatonga a shout out. Long time working in New Japan. We started speaking to each other during lockdown when COVID was happening. And he gave me lots of good career advice. We would check in every week. Once a week, we'd have a chat about career, what's happening, how's training, what's going on. And he was very instrumental in helping me come up with the silencer moniker that I use. It was his blessing to use the name Firing Squad for the faction. Originally, him and his brother Tangaloa were the Bullet Club Firing Squad. And he gave me that name, just said, hey, look after it. I'm happy for you to use it. And yeah, so that was a good time. And yeah, so he's been such a positive influence and gave a lot of good advice on my career. And yeah, so I think off the top of my head, that's a bunch of them. There'll be others if I think about it long enough. But yeah, off my head, there are a bunch of people that I find to be really inspirational in the business.
So, mate, Sam. So, obviously, as you mentioned, you are a former UK World Heavyweight Champion, UKW World Heavyweight Champion. How do you prepare for such a big match, obviously, both physically and mentally?
Right. So, honest answer then. We had the first match at WrestleBration, funnily enough, where it was we built a storyline where the Firing Squad have come in, we're interfering, we're putting our own stamp of power on everything, we're climbing the top, we're attacking all the baby faces. And Jonathan was leading the babyface kind of counter assault on us. So we had a backwards and forwards with Jonathan. Particularly Dylan Chase was wrestling him weekly on TV. Being that I'm based up in Glasgow, it's not always feasible to bring me in all the time, multiple times a week. So he would take a lot of the weight off my shoulders, as it were, while I couldn't be there. And we had the match at WrestleBration, which was going to be the big blow-off of, finally, we've clawed our way here. We're going to take the heavyweight championship from you. We're going to leave you destroyed in the ring, And I looked at the match on paper. I was over the moon to see I was getting the match. That's, don't take me wrong there. But I kind of, from looking at it on paper, I was like, there's no way I'm winning this because it's probably a little bit of self-doubt or whatever, but I was like, why would they put that belt on me? You know what I mean? Like, Jonathan's the guy at the company. Jonathan's the big baby face. He's there every week, all week. I'm not. Are they really going to put it on me? Probably not. So I tried to downplay it to take some of the pressure off because it was also a WrestleBration main event. So I was trying not to think too hard about it. And we went out, we did the match, and had a great match. Loved the match, and yeah, Jonathan retained. And I was like, cool. Well, and I thanked him. I said, great, thank you for that, man. I really enjoyed that. And then a couple of weeks later, we get the plans for aftermath of that year. and it's said, "Hey, it'll be you and Jonathan again." Why would I get him again? Oh, no, that's cool. That's cool. Like, I'm happy to. I was just a little bit confused at this point. But we went down. We're planning the match. I've looked at the card, and the card says, I think it was main event again. Jonathan Sedgwick versus Damian Black. Jonathan Sedgwick over, and I went, okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Well, we'll use what we did last time as a platform. We'll build on it, and we'll do some bits. And that was kind of the plan going into the match. And then I remember we were stood in Gorilla, getting ready to go out. I'm psyching myself up. I'm drinking water. I've got all my entrance clobber on. I'm warming up. I'm staying limber. Boom, 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 boom. And then Jonathan walks past me in Gorilla, and he goes, "You're over, by the way." And I went, "What?" Like I was like, I misheard him, right? And he's like, no. And I was like, and my words were, "Are you sure?" And yeah, so we had a round 2. It was a really good match, lots of backwards and forwards. As a kind of sign of thanks, even. So I had my finisher, which is it's called the kill shot. It's a slightly modified Sister Abigail, basically. That's what most people kicks out of it. Again, various mentors I've had through my time have said, protect your finish. Everybody said it. Protect your finish. Every match doesn't need people kicking out of finishes on 2 backwards and forwards. So I don't even know if Jonathan knew this at the time or not, but literally nobody kicked out of my finish. Nobody. And I think it's happened maybe once since, ever. But I said to him, I was like, "Hey, if I'm going over, sign of thanks, sign of respect, show I'm grateful." I was like, "I'll hit you with my finish, middle of the ring. Looks like I'm going over. 2.9 kicked out. The place erupted for him because he's like the first guy in my career, but also the first guy on TV, live on pay-per-view at UK Wrestling, in front of that that worldwide crowd. The first person to on camera kick out of it as well, especially. So that was just a huge moment. And then winning the belt. I remember having my hand raised, handed the title, and I was holding it, and I was like, it wasn't going in yet. It wasn't computing. I was still full of adrenaline from the match. I was still kind of interacting with the crowd a bit. And I think I got backstage and I was holding it, but I think mentally I forgot I had a hold of it. I was just walking with it backstage, and I sat down in the locker room, and the guys from the Fire Squad came over, and the batters on the shoulder going, "Good job, mate. Oh, God, you champ." And I was like, "Oh God, yeah, I am." Like, it suddenly sunk in, and I was like, it was like another little spike of adrenaline. I couldn't quite believe it, It was a great moment, and like I say, that was not only the company trusting me with their main event title, but it was again this my first non-tag team title match, so title that I've held. So even personally, it was a huge moment, and I'm a firm believer in that. If a company puts a championship on you, they have faith in you, they trust you to represent their product well. So that was just a huge kind of boost to me. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome, mate. We will be coming back to obviously what you just spoke about with the title and the mental health aspect of it. Got a quick question, quick comment from Kirsty Love, who just sent a quick finger up to the sky. Looks like she's acknowledging you as a tribal chief.
Yeah, man. I'm happy with that.
Hope you're enjoying the episode so far, Kirsty. If you're new around here, please leave a like on the video, and hopefully you'll subscribe. I really hope you do. So, on to the next question, mate. What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced in your career so far, aside from mental
health? So, big challenges have been. To be honest, again, it's not strictly mental health related, but outside of wrestling, this is true for a lot of people. I'm not the same as I am in the ring or in character. I'm actually quite quiet person. I'm quite for the social aspect of wrestling was actually quite difficult for me. It was something I had to put a lot of time into learning. That includes everything from making contact with promotions, speaking to promoters, speaking to fans. Even is very. At first, it was a very kind of hard boundary for me, and it's like it's a bit awkward, but it's that thing of it's kind of like learning to wrestle, learning to build a ring. You learn this stuff all the time by doing it. So the more time I was spending around other wrestlers, car for a 4-hour drive to a show there and back in the same day, you spend a lot of time talking to people, and those kind of blocks erode over time. And everyone in the wrestling business is in the same boat, whether you're a fan, a referee, a wrestler, a ring announcer, promoter, anything. Everybody at the end of the day is a huge fan of wrestling. We're all huge nerds for wrestling, and that there's a great through line that comes with that. There's a commonality and a kind of kinship there, where you can walk into a new environment. I used to be very nervous about walking into new locker rooms. Again, I'll use UKW as an example. First time I was there, I've travelled 4.5 hours to get there. I don't know anybody. I've never been in the building before. I don't even know the promoter's face yet, because I've not. All my conversations with them have been through like email or whatever. So I'm like, right, okay, I get that. I'm really nervous. But then the second you walk in the building, everyone's really friendly. Everyone's really welcoming. Everybody comes up to you, shakes your hand, introduces themselves, asks how you're doing, how's the drive, how's the weather, how are you getting on? And especially, again, UK wrestling, every time I go there, it's like there's a locker room full of 20 of your best mates who you've not seen for a while, and you go in and you catch up, and it could be days, weeks, or months since you last saw them, and everybody's happy to see you. So that definitely helps with a lot of that stuff. So yeah, definitely the social side of stuff, the promotional side of stuff, and that like marketing yourself as a brand. I have no idea how to run a business, so when I'm learning to wrestle, the last thing I'm thinking about is how do I advertise myself? How do I show my product? How do I build my social media following? How do I interact with my following? What, like, and that's stuff you kind of have to figure out as you go. And so that was a bit of a learning curve for me. I'm still very much on it. I do find it difficult now still to talk to promoters and the finding work aspect, I suppose you could call it. But I'm fortunate in that a lot of people recommend me places, or people have seen my work and then contacted me. So I'm happy with that. And then I suppose the other thing for me personally is organization. I'm not a very organized person. So when you've got a calendar full of dates and I'm working out the rotation of gear to be like, right, this gear here, that gear there, let's make sure we're packed enough, let's say we've got this, and have I got enough tape, have I got all my bits I need, have I got everything in the car ready, all that stuff. I always have a last minute flap, thinking that I've forgotten something. Thankfully, I've gotten quite good in the last couple of years, and that I pack ahead of time, but I still have that panic of what have I forgotten? What have I left behind? Last time I was at UKW, I got 2 hours down the road, and then for no reason, the thought came into my head, did you pack your boots? And I was like, oh. I was like, I'm 2 hours down the road, and damn. So yeah, that was the whole thing. But I had packed them. That's the important bit. I had packed them, and I should have just trusted myself because I did it ahead of time. So yeah, that was a big thing for me for a while. Organization, but I've never been an organized person, so that was a big learning curve as well. So, and yeah, so they're kind of the big bits. It's the stuff outside of the ring. It's probably the cleanest way I can tie all that up in a little package for us. Is the stuff outside the ring takes a little bit of getting used to. The long journey days, the late nights. There's times when we used to work with touring companies, or you're going down to Butlins or something like that, and you're driving. Again, you're picking people up, you're dropping people off on the way. So especially if you're the driver, it can be a bit of bit of a nightmare. But people tend to take turns driving. It's not the same person every time. But there's many times where you'll work a show, you'll drive home, you get home 3 o'clock in the morning, and hey, cool, thanks for dropping us off. No bother, I'll see you in 3 hours because we're getting back on the road. So it's in, sleep, up, change, gone. Full day out again, wrestling, full day driving back. Same again. Especially in the summer. In the summer or any time where the kids are off school and stuff, the wrestling business always picks up. And you find you have a lot of those days. But the camaraderie, the atmosphere, the banter, the fans, the people you talk to, the show, the atmosphere, all of that makes it worth it. And so, yeah, it's an important part to learn, but it does take some learning to get used to.
Fantastic, bud. So we're going to do a couple of quick fire questions before we get into the mental health side of things.
Of course.
So first quick fire question is, what do you think is the best finisher of all time?
Damian Black's kill shot. Or Triple H's pedigree.
I was going to say, I walked right into that one, didn't I? What is the most shocking wrestling moment you've seen?
That I've seen in person?
That you might have seen at a WWE live event, that you might have seen at a UK wrestling show, or whatever.
Okay, cool. The first thing that came into my mind was the I don't know if I'm even allowed to mention it, but the a certain diving headbutt to the top of a steel cage. That was on the Kurt Angle. That was the very first thing I thought of, and I don't know why. But I remember seeing that and thinking, because you get people all the time who go, "Oh, wrestling's fake," but then you look at something like that and you think, "There's no way that didn't hurt." So yeah, hats off to people who go to those lengths for each other. But yeah, it's definitely up there, one of them.
Definitely, but I always think it's really funny when people say that wrestling is fake, and because I always say to them, so when you watch films such as like Spider-Man and things like that, do you really think that there's a guy that's been bitten by a radioactive spider that's fighting a guy with multiple arms coming out of his back that are made out of metal? I mean, I know they're American, but come on.
Yeah, but so you watch like soaps on TV and you think they're all real? Like, do you know, it's that kind of thing. Like, it's entertainment. Like you say, I think the movie analogy is the best way of looking at it. Like, Daniel Craig isn't literally James Bond type thing. Like, crazy.
I love that. So, who do you think? Who is a wrestler that you think is underrated?
Underrated. Oh my God, there's so many. So many underrated wrestlers. So, I think tag team wrestlers: Dylan Chase, Tyler Tarantino, phenomenal workers. Female wrestlers: Kirsty Love. Who else? Ruby Roberts up here is very good. Singles wrestlers. Oh my God! Like, I'm trying to think of there's so many people. I could give you a list of 100 people that I think are underrated. Sounds a bit mean. It's like, I don't mean to imply that they're not good or anything. You know what I mean? It's I just think more people should see these people. So people like Seb Mercer's doing amazing. Evan Knight just changed his name, but he's amazing. You've got people like that who more people should have their eyes on them. There's a lot of people around the Northeast scene as well. Like, oh my God, when it comes to that, I would say, like, hey, look, if you love wrestling, you should be going to as many of your wrestling shows that you can locally, seeing the talent, supporting the talent, because if you love professional wrestling, the more you support it, and the more you go to see it, the more of it you're going to get. And the more names, the more workers, the more talent you're going to see coming up. George Hunter, UK wrestling, phenomenal. I don't know if you've seen him yet, but oh my God. Paul Hubris, good. He's a good friend of mine. you know, he does a lot of work in America. He's worked at AEW, NWA, and I've worked with him at UK Wrestling. But he doesn't get enough, like, there's not enough people looking at his stuff. More people need to see it, you know? You know, more people, yeah, like Mike Musso. Mike Musso's great. Like, I've worked with him quite a bit lately. I've seen him in the ring, seen him out of the ring. Very knowledgeable guy, a lot of experience. Great guy to be around, and puts on great matches, understands wrestling, and is very skilled at it. So it's like, there's so many people all around that, like, honestly, if anyone watching is thinking, who should I have my eye on? It sounds cheesy, but as many people as you can get your eye on. You know, some of the best wrestlers I've ever met are the people who are either starting out and they're just knowledge sponges, or it's the people that haven't got, like, well, not many people do, but like, that haven't got a massive ego because their Twitter following's massive or something like that. Do you know what I mean? You do see the odd unfortunate case where somebody crosses like 8,000 followers on Instagram or whatever, and now suddenly they're too good for you. Like, they see themselves up here and everyone else is down there type thing. That's very few and far between. To be honest, I couldn't even name somebody that's doing that off the top of my head. So all these people with the smaller, like, followings, they're great because you're seeing them grow, you're seeing them develop. They're getting onto more shows if you're showing them support. They're learning more. And I tend to find that, like, the really good people for talking to anyway, because they'll answer fans, they'll talk to people back. You know, you're not going to disappear into somebody's inbox because they've got X amount of followers and they don't see your message because it's sat in a request folder somewhere. And some fans can be disillusioned by that and think, oh, well, you know, I like this guy, I support his work, and he, you know, fucking ignored me. But a lot of the smaller people will be like, oh, look, somebody messaged me, they want to talk about my work, or they want to talk about wrestling, or they want to know what shows, and you'll get that interaction. So I think it's satisfying for a fan as well. So yeah, just watch as many people as you can wrestle. Find out who's local to you, follow them, interact with them, see them at shows, and it does wonders for their development as well, and their kind of confidence as well is the word I was looking for there. Somebody sees, you know, you get that first fan at a show that shows appreciation for your work. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, I apologize. Back in the Full Tilt Wrestling days when I first started, this is before I started tag teaming with Nick. I was still working singles. I had not long turned villain. And at the time, I was going by the Rogue. That was my moniker. The Rogue Damian Black, because I had this underhanded, sneaky, I'll do anything to win kind of style. I'm a big guy, so I'll still smash you in the face and all that stuff and hit you with power moves. But I'm not above low blowing you or holding a rope or whatever if I have to win. Win by any means. What a rogue! What a bastard! That was my thing. And there was a young kid who used to come with shows with his dad and his sister. Every single show he was there. And I remember one time looking into the crowd and seeing a little, it wasn't a sign, it was a whiteboard. And he'd written like Damian Black rules on it or something. And I saw that. And that stuck in my head now, years later. I still remember it like it happened this afternoon. And one of the things I used to do is I'd come out and I had like a long coat on. I used to wear like a face covering, like a bandana over my face. So I looked like a rogue, like a bit of a bandit, you know. And I came out to the ring, and in the front row, I don't even remember what match it was for. This is the important impact it can have. I don't remember what match it was. I just remember this happening. I'd come out to the ring, and I got on the apron, and I looked out over the crowd. So to get on the apron, I'd look out over the crowd, stand up, eyeballing them all, then get in. I'm on my knee on the apron. I'm looking out over everybody, and it's a good job I was wearing the face covering because I broke character and I smiled because I saw this kid sat with his dad and his sister in the front row, and this kid's wearing a little bandana over his face, and he's loving it. And I was like, mate, that's like 6-7 years ago nearly, and it's still stuck in my head now. And those moments of fan appreciation and that first person that starts to get behind you is like that stays with you, and it makes such an impact to people. And then when more and more people do it, like honestly, I've never had anything in my life quite like it, and it does honestly stick with you. So yeah, find local wrestlers, support them. They might not directly express it, but there's so much gratitude and appreciation from people there. It literally keeps the business alive. That's what I
Definitely. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, mate. I definitely agree with that, bud. That more and more people need to be watching out for pro wrestlers because the amount of work that they put into their craft is absolutely amazing. So, last quick fire question, mate, before we move on to the mental health side of things.
Go
What
on.
is your biggest pet peeve about being a wrestler?
My biggest pet peeve about being a wrestler, kick pads. I don't understand kick pads. No, it's not necessarily one about being a wrestler. It's more like an in-ring thing. So
Yeah.
if you're wearing kick pads, I have this. I don't mind if you're like you're somebody who does a lot of striking and stuff, but I get like weirdly irritated by wearing kick pads when you don't kick. And I used to do it myself before I got a proper pair of wrestling boots. I was one of these people that wear a pair of Lonsdales and a pair of kick pads. And then I remember kind of thinking to myself one day, well, funny enough, we were in lockdown when I actually bought my first proper pair of boots because I was thinking about it and I was planning, when I'm coming back and what to do after lockdown lifts. And I had new gear drawn up. So I was like, we'll do a bit of a redesign, we'll come back. And I was like, I just had that moment. I was like, I don't kick. Like, why do I wear kick pads? I don't kick. That seems really dumb to me. So, and it's just always becomes a pet peeve of mine. So I don't know why, but I just focus on it in matches now. If I see it, I just get weirdly like annoyed by it. But specifically, if it's something about being a pet peeve about being a wrestler. It's sometimes just how long travel days can be. Like, like sometimes you finish a show, especially if you're a little bit more beat up than you were expecting. All you can think about is I want to get home, I want to have a shower, and I just want to relax. But I've got 7 hours between then and now, and I've got a ring to put in a van first. You know what I mean? Those moments it's not necessarily a pet peeve, but it's one of those things where if I could change that side of things, not just for me, but for everybody, I would. But at the end of the day, that's the job, as they say. So that's how it is. It's got to deal with it.
Definitely, mate. So we'll now move on to the mental health side of the interview, bud. So obviously you've been quite open about your mental health journey. Can you share a bit about when you first started experiencing your struggles?
Yeah, of course. I mean, kind of as a kid, to be honest. Well, not like quite as a kid, but teenage years in school. I kind of touched on it before, but in school I was very, very very socially awkward. I was the quiet, nerdy kid who, I wasn't into the same things everyone else was. I wasn't into the same music as everyone else. Quite quiet, didn't have many friends. Had a few fights in school over the years. I mean, none of which I instigated, but that just seemed to be how it was. And yeah, just quite quiet. So I think probably a bit. People would give me a white berth because he's just ignore him. He's just quiet. He's just in the corner or whatever, doing his own thing. And then that's as you get older, you start to hit puberty and stuff like that. And like my moods would just tank. They would just crash. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Mental health wasn't really much of it. This is the early 2000s, so I wasn't really thinking much about it. I think, especially as a kid, you don't jump straight to, oh, something's up or something's needing addressing here. You just think that's how you are, or you think that's what you're going through at the time. And yeah, just had a lot of things happen where, yeah, like I was in like a bit of an unfortunate situation where we had. Fuck it, I'll just be brutally honest. I'm just going to open up. We had a physically abusive stepdad in our household, and I'm the youngest of. I'm the oldest of 3 brothers. That was difficult growing up with. When that situation resolved itself, you suddenly find that our mum is now a single mum. She's working 2 jobs, and it's my responsibility now to get my brothers up, get us to school, get us back from school. You know, you might see mum briefly between jobs as she switches over. She's doing everything she can, like, you know what I mean? That's, you can't really fault her because she's fucking doing everything she can. But you're trying to kind of pull a bit of weight at yourself, but you don't know how to. And then you've already got all this other stuff from being the quiet kid at school, picked on a little bit, your mood's all over the place. And I just found that, like, I would drop into some quite like destructive methods of thinking, and that seemed like a weird method of control or a way out. Or, you know, just having some, like I said, control, some kind of control of what's going on. This is something that I'm doing, and no one can tell me and not to, and, you know, I don't want to hear about responsibility, and I don't want to have to be looking after anybody, and blah, 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 blah. It's just my private way of dealing with it. That was the way of looking at it. Fast forward a little bit, I get a little bit older. I turn 16, and immediately, you need to get a job. Right, okay. Because I need to help support people. So went out, start looking for work. I'm preparing to go to college. I'm working as well. Part-time, obviously, because I'm a student still at this point. And fast forward a little bit further, and I have an unfortunate incident when I'm 19, which saw myself and my girlfriend at the time, who I was seeing. We were pedestrians and were struck by a drunk driver. This is where things start to get really screwy off the rails. I suffered very minor physical injuries, and she was a lot worse off with it than I was. She broke almost every bone in her body. She lost a leg. So at 19, I was feeling a lot of responsibility for it. I remember basically getting myself in quite a state, and I remember calling my parents the next day because she'd spent something like 11 and a half hours in surgery. And all I remember is profusely apologizing and being like, it's my fault, blah, 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 blah. She was only there because I asked her to meet me, things like that. And that was something that I found really hard to deal with, as well as working, as well as attending college and all that kind of stuff. And I was so as part of that, I was diagnosed with depression, diagnosed with PTSD, had to go into therapy, everything from, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy to all kinds of medications to other kinds of therapies to you name it. I was probably doing it. It put a massive stop to a lot of stuff in my life for a long time. I quit college. I started working full time because I felt it was my responsibility to look after people. This is the point where I wasn't wrestling, so I'd walked away from wrestling. Well, I mean, like, I already had it before that point, but this definitely meant there's no way I was going back anywhere near it. And I mean, thankfully, over time, things have worked out. Like, you know, things kind of are manageable. But I distinctly remember I was chatting to the doctor at the time, and they said to me, "We can't cure you of this. This is never going to go away, but we'll help you manage it." And even now, if it's dark outside, and a car goes past me at speed and I'm on the pavement, I will jump. Like, it's just a physical reaction I have. I jump. I'll grab somebody if they're beside me and pull them towards me. I don't let anybody with me walk on the roadside. I walk roadside. It's okay. It's just in case, you know. And it's a totally involuntary thing. It just happens. And then kind of the short version of saying things is, since then I've had lots of issues with depression, social awkwardness, Like, I made light of it before, saying, I find it hard to talk to promoters or talk to people, etc., etc. But like, sometimes I literally do. It's like an impossible thing almost to be able to just speak to somebody. Because you constantly have these, like, it's not the same subject, but that same voice of self-doubt and blame, and it's your fault and all of that still in there. And it sometimes just redirects it to other stuff. You're an awful wrestler. You're not getting booked there. Don't bother contacting them. They don't want to hear from you. They think you're shit. Blah, 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 blah. What are you doing? And you know what I mean? Like, it's this constant thing. And it is a thing that you do learn to live with it. And it is an everyday thing. Like, but it has become manageable. Like, at the time, like, I was having not just the stuff with, like, physically being jumpy, but constantly flashbacks, waking up sweating because I'm reliving it in my sleep, things like that. And it does compound a bit when I am having issues with mental health nowadays, where, I mean, my most recent kind of episode, if you want to call it that, was only a couple of weeks ago. For no apparent reason, no rhyme, no reason, or anything to it, I got myself in a really deep mental hole. Funny enough, I'm sat in my gym right now, and I was in the gym when it happened. Just in this deep hole one morning, came down, sat down to work out, and I'm just, oh, hang on, I realised I've just been staring at the wall for 10 minutes. And there's just all this stuff going in my head of, hey, you shit, basically. All that stuff of, like, just anything that you can almost attack yourself over what's happening. And it gets difficult. It's taken me to some pretty dark places at various points in my life. And thankfully, people around me have always kind of managed to pull me around a bit, or pull me out of it. I've had moments where I've had to look at, like, additional professional help. Even if I don't always find it helpful, I've had to. I've been on and off medication for years. And then very recently, I had a lot of stuff where I thought, hey, I've just got some quirks to me. Mentally, I've got some quirks. And I've not really spoke about this ever, apart from literally my partner and maybe two other people. But very recently, chatting with my doctor, after people encouraged me to get assessed, and my doctor's like, hey, ADHD, autism, that's you. I was like, oh, cool. So I've got that as well, on top of everything. So there's a lot of adjustment going on even now still. And it gets difficult, but it's not, I've had a long time to, like, get used to and live with it. So I do find it manageable, but there are these moments that come up. And I've rattled for so long, and to be honest, I've exposed a lot of stuff about myself there that I'm not even sure what you asked me now. I've just talked so long, because this is normally the point where I would keep talking until I've buried everything I've just let out, and then make a joke and move on from it, and that would be it. But yeah, like I said, when we first started the podcast up, I said then, like, I'll be open, I'll be brutally honest about stuff, and that's it. And there might be people out there listening who that stuff resonates with. And there's always people around, and there's always help there, and there's other people who will have experienced similar. And you're not alone and stuff, basically.
I've got to say, mate, that's absolutely thrown me, that for six. Obviously, hearing all the traumatic things that you've gone through, especially the bullying side, I really do resonate with that, because I was very similar. I was picked on massively at school, never fitting with anybody because of the clothes I wore, because of the music that I listened to. And to hear that, obviously, you had problems at home as well, and then obviously that traumatic experience with the person that you were with at that time, that's just absolutely unreal. And the fact that you're still with us today, which, if I think I can speak for everyone when I say we're so honoured, and we're absolutely insanely grateful that you still are here.
No, thanks. I do appreciate that.
So, but yeah, that's just completely thrown me, that, mate. If I'm honest, it's made me it's made me a bit emotional as well, to be honest. But this is the reason why I created this podcast, mate, because I want people to be able to come on here, to be able to share their stories, to hopefully, if it helps, let them get things off the chest if they need to. And I'm really, really grateful that you are sharing the story, mate, and you are being so open about what you've been through. I'm hoping that anyone that is watching this that has been through similar or is going through that same traumatic experience. Um, I hope that this episode does help you. If anyone is suffering from mental health, please see the description down below. There's many links to not just mental health organizations, but there is a link to addiction organizations, because that is also a sign of mental illness as well. But to move on to the next question, mate, what specific challenges related to mental health have you faced within the wrestling industry? A couple of examples for you: performance anxiety, pressure, travel, body imagery, and social media scrutiny.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I have that for myself is generally internally focused. I mentioned it there, even it's that little voice up here, that it's that little bit of telling yourself for no apparent reason, hey, you're not good, you can't do this, don't waste everyone's time. But there's the it does make it difficult in terms of one thing you said there that stood out was the physical things. So over the years, like wild swings, my weight can fluctuate. I'll train really well, I'll train really diligently, and then I'll have what I usually very lightly refer to as a mental wobble. And before I know it, I was like, oh, I can't remember the last time I've been in the gym now. And I'm putting weight on and I'm looking like crap. And that feeds into, oh, well, you look like crap, you wrestle like crap. People, that's what I think of. So that can be difficult. The long days can have a bit of a, if you're having a bit of a rough time of it. So speaking again from experience here, having a couple of rough days where you're not sleeping much because, you've had a few nights where you're lying awake at 3 o'clock in the morning still, overthinking everything into oblivion about not just wrestling, but every aspect of your life, everything you've done, everything you could have done differently, and all this stuff gets in there, it all piles up, especially when I'm in one of those down, depressed moods. But then you've got to go do a full day of wrestling the next day. And having to, it is draining. It feels like complaining about privilege, but it can be physically draining to have to go and pick yourself up and go do it anyway. And then having to switch gears in that the crowd don't care. Like, I mean, interpersonally, they probably do care. But when they've come to a show and they've come to watch your character perform, they don't care about what's going on in your life. They're there to see the character. So having to find that gear switch and forcibly put it in there and change up and not force yourself to not think about things for a couple of hours while you're getting character and you do stuff can be difficult. But the other side of that same coin is it also massively helps. I've had so many times where I'm having such a rough time. And when I keep lightly saying rough time, I mean like to the point where I'm considering like harming myself bad. Like, again, brutally honest, badly here. And I disengage my brain and I go into my wrestling character and I'm Damian Black for a few hours. And then I come out the other side of it and I'm on the drive home and I feel better. It's like, oh wait, that's just gone. I've switched out, I've switched back and it's gone. Doesn't always work. but it definitely has worked before. So they can definitely be massive hurdles. Again, anytime you're in one of these big depression spirals, or you're feeling a bit worthless, or you don't have the motivation sounds horrible, because there's this dumb thing that goes around on the internet. It's like one of them live, laugh, love quotes, where it's like, dedication over motivation. Motivation's temporary. But shut up. Like, you have to be motivated to do something. You're not going to do anything if you don't want to do it. And wanting to do something is motivation. It can be because you have to. It can be because you feel like you have to. It can be because you want to. But nobody does anything without motivation. So shut the fuck up with this dedication over motivation. I don't give a fuck, right? So you can have those days where, like, I'll wake up and I'm so physically, well, not physically, I'm so mentally fried that it's affecting me physically, and I don't have energy to do anything. Like, and I'm not being like, oh, I feel a bit tired. I mean, literally, I've spoke to my doctor about this multiple times. I physically am fatigued. I feel like I've already been in the gym and I haven't had breakfast yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, or I know I've got to go do stuff, and my body just won't move. And that's been something that happened since my initial PTSD incident, where I want to do stuff, my body just physically will not move. It just shuts down. It doesn't want to do anything. Those days can be hard. And especially when you feed that into, all right, well, I'm having image issues at the moment because I'm aware I've put a bit of weight on and I'm looking a bit chubby, but I also feel physically exhausted and I don't want to move. But I've got a show next weekend, so I need to do something. And then you beat yourself up about it more, and you don't give yourself any kind of concession. And I'm saying that because I'm fucking terrible for it. I do that all the time to myself. Any excuse I find to blame myself, beat myself up about something, literally make things worse for myself, I seem to just take it. And it's not a conscious decision, it just happens. And then you feed into it further because you get wound up that you let it happen, and then it feeds in again, and then the show's here, and you go to the show, and then you come back, you go back to non-wrestling civilian life for a few days. It's exhausting. It can be absolutely killer. And yeah, like sometimes the wrestling business, like a lot of other businesses, can be brutal. It can be cutthroat. You can work with somebody for a while, and then suddenly they cut all contact with you for no rhyme or reason. You've done nothing wrong, but they just don't need you anymore, or they don't need you right now. And instead of having that conversation with you, you just find that your messages are suddenly not being replied to. Somebody that you've come up with through training, you've known your whole career, you've traveled together, you've wrestled together. Now suddenly they're not answering your messages. You can't remember the last time you spoke to them. And it's really easy to start blaming yourself for that stuff, or thinking, what have I done wrong? But 9 times out of 10, you haven't done anything wrong. That's just how the business moves. I had a very brief stint helping. I wasn't the only person doing it. I was part of a team of people that were helping run Prime Wrestling in Newcastle. And I looked after our social media. That was one of the jobs I did. We all ran the shows, we all booked the cards, etc., etc. But then we all did little extra bits. And one thing I say run the social media, I mean, like, I would do the communications from the inbox. I wasn't like posting or anything like that. That was somebody else. But it's amazing when you're in a position, and this isn't exclusive to wrestling. It's amazing how many people are suddenly your best friend in the world, and suddenly have all the time for you, and are happy to message you, talk about anything, have really good conversations, and get really pally with you when they think you can book them, when they think they can give you work. Oh, you can give them work, sorry. And then, you make a couple of friendships doing it, and then you step away from that, and suddenly none of these people want anything to do with you anymore. There are some very transactional relationships out there. Again, this isn't exclusive to wrestling. This happens to actors. This happens to education professionals. This happens to various other people. I'm just speaking from experience on these terms. And that in itself can have a very heavy blow mentally. Because you can have people, again, like I said, people that you've ridden in cars with, people that you've spent time with in training, you've gone to the gym with, you've hung out with socially, you spent you spent a lot of time gaming together in the evenings or whatever, and suddenly you're no longer. The way my brain seems to interpret this is you're no longer valuable to them because they don't need you anymore, because they think, right, well, you can't get me booked anywhere. I'm now better than you, so I don't need you anymore. So I don't need to speak to you anymore. And considering how I was in school, like I said, kind of the quiet kid who keeps to himself, doesn't have a big friend circle, gets bullied, gets into fights. Oh, he's the goth kid with the skateboard who listens to the music we don't like. So he's the odd one out. Fuck him. Through to certain home issues, through to anything related with PTSD, confidence, any facet of my mental health. To then have these extra hammer blows of people that you thought were dependable or respected you or were personable with you just disappear in the wind on you isn't a great feeling. But there's also a lot of good people out there, which again is the bit to focus on. There's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of people you meet in wrestling who do stick with you through anything. People you can talk to about anytime, about anything. I mentioned Tamatonga before, and usually when I bring up in conversation, because it's just we've had a conversation about something. Oh, yeah, this was happening. We'll talk about. Everyone goes, "Oh, name dropping are you?" And I'm like, "No, it's because he had a good impact on my career." And during that, I mean, it's different now. He's with WWE, it's busier, blah 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 blah. But I could message and I could get a response, and I could talk about the business. I could talk about my development, my training, my character, my career. What do I do next? Da, 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 da. And there's one time I sent him quite a frank message. I saw New Japan had announced Royal Quest. Can't remember which one it was, but they'd announced Royal Quest. And I messaged Tama and I said, "Hey, man, how do I get on New Japan's radar? I really want to wrestle in Japan. It's one of my career goals. How do I get on New Japan's radar? How do I get them to take notice of me?" And I was like, "Oh, you'll get back to us when you get back to me." I'm not one of those people that I'll not text somebody and expect them to reply immediately. They'll get to it when they get to it. You just got to be patient with people. And again, this is one of these moments that just stuck in my brain forever. Instead of writing a message or like, "Oh, well, just keep doing what you're doing," or whatever, he just texted him and, "Are you free?" I went, "Yeah." And he video called me and we talked about it for about half an hour. We just had a chat. And I was like, cool, that stuck with me. Yes, it's great advice, but that was a very personable touch. And there's never been like a transactional part of that. It's not like, oh, he's talking to me because he thinks I can get him booked at like somewhere in Newcastle or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just a conversation. It's a good like interaction. There's other people going back to the firing squad. Dylan Chase, Tyler Tarantino, Kirsty Love. All three of them are people that I've met through wrestling. All three of them are highly dependable individuals that I can talk to at any time. Doesn't even have to be about wrestling. I can talk to them at any time about anything, and at least one of them will reply to me on group chat. It can be a confidence thing. It can be a crisis thing. It can be, oh, I'm having a shit time in the top of my head. And they will step in. They will chat to me. They will, they'll take that time out of their day most of the time. Especially, Dylan Chase and Tyler Tarantino, they're kind of like the tag team of our group, and they're very busy at the minute, and they're doing a lot of great work, and they're getting around a lot of places and rubbing shoulders with some people. And I don't know if they'll watch this, and they might kill me if they do. But I had that moment where my brain starts trying to fuck me over, for lack of a better term, and goes, "Hey, they're doing good work for themselves now. Any day now, they're going to decide they don't need you anymore. Any day now, they're going to decide, hey, we've gone as far as we can with Damian. We've gone as far as we can with the phone squad. Let's give them the boot. We don't need him. We can stop. We don't have to reply to his messages. We live like a 4.5 hour drive away from each other. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I see them every day or we cross each other on the street all the time or anything. But they don't. They've shown time and time again they're dependable people that are good guys that I can rely on. And they can obviously also rely on me. And like I said, part of the whole point of the group is I want to bring in good, reliable people who will, yes, get on, but also will have each other's backs. And we help each other grow, develop. We help each other find new promotions to work in. We all come in, we help each other out. We work with that promotions talent, we work with whoever. But that's kind of my end goal and like dream for the faction, is to have basically a network of people who are all helping each other in the business. I hate this transactional stuff, and again, it's more about myself internally and my own mental kind of issues and my own experiences and unfortunate things in the past that lead me to always kind of have one eye open on people sometimes. And I don't want anyone else in the business to have to feel like that. So I think it's a good thing to have a network of people that you can depend on, and a network of people who you know have your back, who you know are going to be trying to help you get into other promotions. Again, we don't really live exactly right near each other, but the way I always look at that in a rare kind of positive vibe, because I'm normally quite pessimistic, but in that rare kind of positive upturn, I think, hey, that just means between us, we've got a lot of different ground we can cover, you know? And yeah, it's a good thing to be a part of, and I'd love to have more people a part of it who have that same mindset. And I think it's not even about wrestling half the time, just a dependable space where people can, yes, wrestling brings us all together, but it's that thing of we have such a wide network of support for each other as well. Because again, everyone in the group's a wrestler. Everybody gets it. Everybody understands the demands of the business and what it can be like. So sometimes it's exactly who you need to speak to when you are in a down place. Like I can talk to my doctor and rant at him about how I'm stressed, I'm not sleeping, and I'm putting on weight, and I'm not eating right, because how come I'm only remembering to have one meal a day, but I'm putting weight on and all this stuff. And the doctor will just look at that from strictly medical standpoint and go, right, well, you need to do this, this, and that, and we need to look at this. And to be honest, I have had situations in the past where my doctor will look at, obviously, the CU medical records, and I'll go to the doctor and be like, hey, I'm having a bit of a bad time. And they'll look at my records and they'll just go, all right, well, we'll put your medication back on the meds. And that's not really a solution. That's just, hey, you know, I've got a colourful kind of record, and I'm expressing concern, I'm expressing I need help, and your solution's just been throwing me back on medication without much thought. Okay, cool. And you know, and that doesn't help. So, but like I said, doctors don't necessarily understand, well, they don't really understand the wrestling business. So having a network of people there who have your back, who some people may have very similar issues as part of it, but they also have the context of, we are all in the wrestling business. We understand, we get how those unique pressures can affect people. And then, you know, that I said it before as well, it's one of the things that drew me to yourself and to coming onto the podcast even, was no one else is doing this. It's a very unique space, and it's a place where, you know, I mean, I think it's an important thing for, even if somebody doesn't have anything they would consider an issue or a problem or anything like that, it's such an important space in terms of understanding and kind of normalizing the fact that this is fine. In my much earlier life, when I was still in school and I was starting to have those depression issues, but before the PTSD incident, I remember a lot of conversations with medical professionals where they basically went, Well, just get over it. Just go for a walk. Just do more stuff. Just try talking to people. And it's like, this doesn't help. So yeah, that's kind of my really broad rant about wrestling and how mental health support can kind of tie into it, really, I guess, and why stuff like what you're doing is massively important to people.
So, mate, thank you so much for that, but I really do appreciate that, mate. So, what kind of, you've obviously reiterated about this earlier, but what kind of support system do you rely on both within and outside of wrestling?
So within wrestling, because to be honest, that's the shorter answer. Within wrestling, everybody who's a part of the firing squad with me, I consider it's not just like a gimmick or like a whole like it's not just the performative side of it. There are a lot of people that I trust very intimately, and James as well. James will know who he is if he's listening. But he's just very very straightforward in a helpful way. He will just give you his assessment of stuff, which sometimes what you need or what I need personally. Everyone's different. Everybody's issues affect them differently. But between those people, they're all a fantastic support network, and they keep me focused when I need it. Outside of wrestling, same people apply still, because they're all good friends of mine outside of wrestling. And I have my partner who, is in the unique position that she's also included in the firing squad people. But then my parents as well, I can talk to them. Like, I don't live near them. I live up in Glasgow with my partner. My parents both live kind of back home in Newcastle. But they're always on the other end of the phone if I need them. My brothers, they're a good support network. Like our middle brother, especially, he's very well versed in these sorts of things. It's never a pain if I message him, and a lot of these issues that I've had through my entire life, he's been there for a lot of them. Like literally has been there. Some of the things that have happened, he's literally been in the room for. We attended the same school. Like, he saw the people that we went to school with. He saw the types of people that were interacting with me, how they were interacting with me, or lack thereof. Some of the stuff at home he was quite privy to. Was our youngest brother, who was a bit young to really remember a lot of it. Everything with the PTSD, I spoke to him a lot about when that was happening. Ever since I have done as well, I've one of my issues that I had, this is one time I got really, really, really out of hand. I was like inconsolably distraught. And I was completely convinced I was done. Very, very bad time. I was like, everything's awful, can't do anything right. I'm more of a hindrance than a help to anybody. I'm just going to remove myself from the equation. I'm just getting out. That's it. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm done. I don't care. And it's that thing of like, there was a little kind of spark in my head that was like, oh, you'll regret this. And I was in such a bad place. My reasoning was, I'll have no idea if I regret it or not, because I'll not be aware. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the very last thing I did was I called my brother up and I said, hey, this is what's going on. I don't know what to do. I don't think I'm coming back from this one. This is it. Like, and I didn't know what to do, and I rang you. I'm sorry I rang you. And like 20 minutes later, he was at my house. Like, do you know what I mean? He was like, boom, dropped everything, came over, huge support, stayed with me for a while, helped me kind of get back on track a bit. Helped find things that were like basically, yeah, you're talking to shit, you're lying to yourself, basically. And with, you know, a mixture of softly and a mixture of brutal honesty, like, pulled me around from it. But then even that became a massive thing. There was a lot of problems with, like, there was a lot of, like, guilt and feeling really selfish after it and all this kind of stuff. But having a strong support network around me helps me through all that stuff. Like I say, my partner as well, we're fortunate in that. I mean, we live together and we both wrestle. So she gets the business and she gets me as a person. And I can always talk to her about anything. Like, you know, if I'm having one of those moments where it's 4 o'clock in the morning and my brain will not shut off and I'm beating myself up about everything that's ever happened to me or anyone around me, and hey, it's my fault somehow. I can honestly, literally wake her up at 4 o'clock in the morning and she won't even be angry. She'll just be like, what's up, what's happening, what do you need? Like, so the support to that's, like, you know, second to none. And you know, to have you know, a big love like that in your life that does help you with that kind of stuff can be such a game changer. And you know, it extends to everything. Like, you know, even if we wrestle on the same show, we'll wrestle on the show. I can be like, oh my god, I didn't put in a good effort there. That wasn't a good showing. Maybe it's because of this, maybe it's because of that, whatever. And she'll literally just hear me rant about it on the drive home and, like, just get it all off my chest, which sounds really simple, but it means it's not sitting there, because the more things sit there with me, the more I overthink them. And then the more I'm overthinking, the more internally angry I get about it, which then just, it's like opening a floodgate. Now, because I'm really, I mean, and a lot of the time there's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfectly good match or whatever. But because I'm in such a hole over it, the floodgates opened, and now everything I've ever done wrong in my life is fucking terrible, and boom, it's all here now in your face type thing. So sometimes it can help stem the flow, and it can help, like, just keep me focused. So like I say, I've got like a, it honestly feels like a small army of people around me who I can reach out to, or I can reach out to all of them and be like, you know, this hasn't happened yet, thankfully, but it can be that I'm having the crisis to end all crises. I can just blanket message a whole bunch of people and they will all get back to me. You know, lots of things are like, you know, having very, you know, from the parent side, for example, having very, very frank conversations with both of my parents about what's happening, what's happened previously has been difficult. Like, I'm not going to downplay it and say it was easy, or hey, there was such good super support that I could literally tell them anything and they didn't flinch. It's bits of it have been painful for them to hear, I'm sure. But there's been a lot of understanding put there as well. I just hadn't spoken to them about things previously because it was difficult, because I was feeling X, Y, or Z way about it, because I didn't want to put more pressure on them, or, you know, or the guilt or anything like that. So again, if anyone's listening and maybe has some stuff they feel like they want to get off their chest but doesn't know how, trust me when I say that the people closest to you is in, like, your family, parents, siblings. They will listen to you and they will be glad you told them. It might hurt initially. There might be some tears, there might be some upset, there might be some, in some situations, flat out refusal to believe it's a thing, but they will be there and they will take your concerns very seriously. I think my personal conversation I had with my dad, for example, was one of the most brutally raw and honest conversations I've ever had with another human being. And he listened to everything I had to say. He understood and was very supportive about it afterwards. So people will listen and they do care. And that's the important bit to bear in mind, because I got myself into a position where I thought nobody cared. So yeah, just I understand, but have the conversations honestly. It is. I don't want to sound dramatic, but it has saved my life, and I'm sure it will do the same for others. So, yeah, if you need to talk to people, please, for the love of God, talk to people.
Definitely, mate. Sound advice there, bud. So next question I've got for you, mate, is on a similar sort of level to what you've just said. What
Sure.
advice would you offer to fans who want to support wrestlers who are open about their mental health struggles?
Yeah. So much like any other kind of way, really, like showing the support at shows, attend the shows, show the support socially. By that I mean like socially, follow people's stuff, give them likes, comment, interact with it. Like it can be difficult as a wrestler to know absolutely everybody who's a fan of your work, because sometimes people follow your stuff. For example, I know this isn't for me. I have people that follow me on Instagram, and I'll see them at a show, or they'll see me at a show, sorry, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, good to see you, blah blah." I followed your stuff for a while, but they've never interacted with any of my stuff. So sometimes I don't even know that they're following me, and it feels awful that I'm like, "Oh, right, I don't really know who you are." Whereas, like, we're all independent wrestlers here. We are all, like I said it before, we're all connected by this love of wrestling. We're all nerds for it, total geeks for wrestling, all of us. But people don't. For some reason, people feel like they can't talk to you or approach you if you're a wrestler, and just do it. Everyone's friendly. Everyone's willing to have a chat. Most of us watch, AEW and or WWE at least. So it's like, hey, you can go up and be like, "Did you see Raw last week?" And somebody will have a conversation with you about it. It's not like there doesn't need to be such a divide. And yes, interacting with stuff can help, and it gets people on their radar. It's like I do remember the people that comment on my stuff, the people that share my stuff, or they'll react to it or like it or something like that, or leave comments. And I do remember that stuff, and I see them at shows, and I'll say hello to them before. Maybe not when I'm in character, because when I'm in character, I'm a total dickhead. But I'll talk to them after shows. I'll talk to them on my way in if I see them on the way in or whatever. Pop up during the interval and take a quick picture with them. Have a chat, catch up with people. Like that happens. So that's definitely something that helps. And then, I think it's important, and again, this ties into how important this is as a format, that people who are fans can see that, like, wrestlers aren't. It's not Vince McMahon era. It's not, wrestlers are all superhuman gods who don't feel or experience mortal problems, and they're all just fucking jacked beasts, and they have no idea what the day to do. Yeah, we all do. Most of us have day jobs. Most of us are cutting our teeth in the business. Some of us are just starting out in the business. Some of us are, trying to build, trying to expand. I'm so grateful and appreciative of every bit of interaction, every opportunity to come talk on a podcast. Every time we can chat to a fan, it's an opportunity, and it's a privilege to be in the position. So, like, for the love of God, don't think people are unapproachable. And being able to, again, in like this kind of setting, talk about quite openly about more mental based issues or conditions or anything of that ilk makes us a bit more human. Yes, and it ruins the illusion or whatever people are going to say, but fuck that noise, because that helps people relate, and that helps people go, hey, somebody could be listening to this and go, I mean, that sounds like I'm fluffing myself. Let's say there's another episode where you've got somebody more interesting on, and they're talking about something, and so that somebody's listening to that and goes, "Oh, that's me. I do that. I have that. I've struggled with that. I'm not the only one." And that one person, that opens up so much for them. 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, and it makes us all kind of human in a way, and it makes it so that we're all interacting on this level playing field. And I hope it means that, like, fans can be more open. Like, if I meet somebody at a show and I'm chatting to them, I hope nobody ever feels like they can't tell me that they're having a rough time. how's life going? Oh, it's not great. Oh, wait, what's happening? If you know what I mean, like you can have that chat. You don't have to be like, how's life? Oh, it's great, but actually I feel like shit. No, just tell me. Let's have a chat. Let's, you know what I mean. And that then bleeds into everyone's life outside of wrestling. I can be more open with people in my personal life about things going on up here. Fans can go home or go to work the next day or whatever, and they can be more open and they can have more conversations. Because hey, I had a chat with this guy at the show I saw a couple of his matches on Instagram or whatever. I saw him at the show last night. We had a chat about how I'm not doing so great. He didn't bite my head off. He didn't kick off. He didn't believe me. He didn't call me a loser. He didn't do this. So actually, I might ring the doctors or hey, wives, girlfriends, partners, whoever. They can turn around and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And it helps break a lot of those barriers down and keeps everyone human at the end of the day, I hope that answered the question because I do ramble.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And honestly, but I've absolutely loved this episode. We've been going for just over an hour and a half, and I've loved every second of it. It's absolutely flown by. I'm sure that everyone that's been watching, especially Kirsty, who's been watching from the beginning, has enjoyed it. As she said that she 100% agrees with what you've been saying, mate. Really do appreciate you watching, Kirsty. So as we start to wind down, bud, what role has wrestling played in your overall mental health journey? Has it been a source of strength? Has it been a challenge? Or has it been a bit of both?
Bit of both. It's a sliding scale. It's I nearly got into a super nerdy analogy there.
Go for it, mate.
Right. So Warhammer 40,000. One of my big loves. So I was like, it's the Nurgle of existence, where rather than it being a binary yes or no thing, it's a sliding scale. Yes, there are unique challenges that are part of it. There are certain things that can be not made worse, but amplified, whether that's good or bad. There are, if you're in a bad place or you're having a bad time, because these things are like, peaks and troughs. And again, going back to those words that stuck in my head all those years ago when I was 19 years, this isn't about curing you. You will not get over it. There's no magic fix. It's about learning to live with it, managing it, being able to go on with it. So there are those peaks and troughs, as there is with anything. Everything goes up and down in life. That's how it is. So when it's bad, it can make things so much worse. It can be harder to motivate yourself to train. It can be hard to motivate yourself to look for work. It can be difficult to get into character, or it can be difficult to interact, or be at the top of your game when you're not feeling great. I've just remembered myself of another really brief tangent. I'll go on in a sec. But on the other side of that, it can also be great. Like I said before, that switching into and then back out of character. Sometimes that's like a mental reset for me. It's the shutdown and restart of my computer that's up here. The fans, the community, everyone around wrestling can make anything better if you just let them. It's not about closing off and trying to do everything yourself. I spent years, whenever I had any issue, I closed everything off. I closed everyone out. I tried to fix it all myself, and it never once worked. Nowadays, when I'm trying to open up more and I'm getting more used to using the support networks, I'm reaching out to people, I'm speaking to people, it's so much better. And yes, it's such a big part of the positive side of dealing with mental health, is in the kind of shared, again, not to sound corny, but like that shared family aspect of professional wrestling. You go to a wrestling show and everybody, and this is from everything from WWE to your local social club. Everybody in that building that is in that room loves wrestling. That's what they're there for. So you've got such a network of people around you that can help and support, and will listen. And that can be such a liberating feeling, especially, if you're a kid like myself who was very different in school and college and stood out from everyone else and was a bit different and picked on because you were different, you're now surrounded by people that are all exactly like you. And a lot of us have probably had very similar experiences. And there's a good camaraderie in that, and a tangible feeling of a weightlifting. And the small tangent I nearly went off on the side there is weight issues again. So a lot of my mental struggle manifests physically. You can tell I'll get a little bit more out of shape. My beard will be a little more unkempt or whatever. I'll physically slouch more. I'm very physical in my mental state. And one of the hardest things can be in those moments in wrestling, and I'm in the ring, and this has happened a few times as well, not just once, not just twice, not even 3 times, quite a few times this has happened. You're feeling conscious because you've put a little bit of weight on, you're feeling a little out of shape, you're feeling a little, my posture's off, I'm not feeling good. And then somebody from the crowd or your opponent decides to heckle you, and it's focused on your weight or your appearance. And you're in the middle of the ring, and suddenly you feel this big and you're devastated. And at that point, you want nothing more than to not be anywhere near that situation. But you've also got a duty to perform to yourself, to your opponent, to the promoter, to the crowd, the people that paid for tickets, the people that might be watching on the internet. You have a responsibility and a duty to perform as expected for those people. And that can be hard. It happened to me one time after a particularly rough case with my weight fluctuating. I managed to get to the heaviest I've ever been in my life. But I worked hard to try address it, and I was getting back to a semi-normal shape. And I was like, you know what? This is a big milestone. I've hit a goal weight, big milestone for me. So in today's match, big reward for myself, big mental boost. Oh, let's get it. For whatever reason, I took my shirt off during the match. And I was like, I'm no longer a t-shirt wrestler. Took my shirt off. Let's show the progress. Let's get it out. Very first thing that happens is somebody in the crowd calls me fatty. So that kind of blew up in my face. But you've just got to then just get through the match, because that's not my opponent's fault. It's not the promoter's fault. It's not everybody else in the crowd's fault. So I've kind of got to just bury that for a bit and then get on with the job. But then later on that evening, that'll come back and that will keep me awake at night. But that's thankfully not often the case, but it does happen. And I know a lot of the time it can just be to get a rise out of you because you're the villain. It can be to rally the crowd against you because the baby face is trying to get the crowd on side against you. Right, I need something to pick on you for. Let's call you fat because you're a little bit larger than me. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it can cut. And since being that kid in school with these budgeting depression issues, my weight fluctuation has been one of the biggest ways it's manifested. Like I said, I can go from I'll not eat for a while, or my self-care will be so unprioritized that I'll eat probably not the healthiest thing, but I'm eating once a day because I don't care. Like, I'm not bothered. I'm not looking after myself because I don't care about myself. So I'm eating one thing a day because if I have to, fine, I'll make sure I eat something. Do you know what I mean? It's quick, it's simple, it's nothing overly nutritious or complex. And I'm not going to the gym because I don't care about myself, so I'm not training. Why do I care? I couldn't give a shit how fit I am right now. Yeah. And then you try to turn it around when you start to get on a positive climb. You've done the trough, now you're going to the peak. And you're climbing and you're trying to get up there. And then somebody brings your weight into it or your physical appearance, and then you go back down. We're nose diving now, boys. And that can be hard. And that's happened, not just in a wrestling context, but that's happened to me in my life quite a lot. It's devastating every time. But that support network, whether it's in wrestling, out of wrestling, fans, hell, really good example of it being positive. Sorry to rant, but really good example of it being positive. Rich Swift is a phenomenal referee. Great guy, love him to bits. hell of a guy. Shared a lot of car trips with him. Brilliant dude, love him to bits. Great referee too, obviously. And I had a moment. I'd showed up at a show that he was refereeing on. We didn't travel together at this one, but I saw him when I was there. And I was feeling conscious. I was in my headspace all week, let alone that day. All week I was in my headspace. And I was in that thing I was just talking about. I'm not eating properly. I haven't been to the gym all week. I'm in here. I'm not quiet. I'm not really talking or interacting with people. And he walked up to me and was just like, "Hi, mate, good to see you." And I was like, "Yeah, man, good to see you too." And he was like, "You're looking good. You look like you've been working out." And that, honestly, in that moment, I don't even know if he, again, I don't know if he even remembers saying that to me, but that sticks in my head now. And this was like 2 years ago. And that instantly lifted me up and I felt better. And I went, "Oh, really?" And I was like, I felt it. My posture straightened. My shoulders went back. I was confident now. I was ready to go. Felt ready to wrestle. And I was like, holy shit. Like, do you know what I mean? So it can seem little. It can seem small. It can maybe seem insignificant, but the right words at the right time can make all the difference. Especially when they come from a genuine place. Like, people don't just say stuff like that randomly or to make you feel better or just to like, if they know you're having a bad time and they're blindly trying to make you feel better. No. Like, people don't tend to do that. So it is, honestly, like I said, right words at the right time, wrong words at the wrong time can make all the difference. But that's a very personal thing for myself. And yeah, I think apart from Kirsty, I think you're probably the only person I've told that to. So yeah.
Really do appreciate that, mate. So the next question I'm going to ask, Bud, I'm actually going to put Kirsty on the spot, actually. So when I ask this question, I want Kirsty to think of a question for Damian. Could be about mental health, could be about wrestling, about anything. So I want Kirsty to think of a question. I'm going to post this question to Damian first, then it's going to be Kirsty's, then we're going to post the final question to Damian, and then that's the episode done for today, guys. So the penultimate question from myself is, what are your aspirations and goals for the future, not just for yourself personally, but also in the ring?
Cool. So you want me to answer first?
Yeah, mate. So if you answer it, and if Kirsty can think of a question and post it in the comments, then I'll post the question to yourself, mate, and then it'll be my final question.
Cool. So in terms of wrestling, I'll start with that. There's a lot of places in the UK and a lot of people in the UK I want to work with. I work around the northern England a bit. I work in Scotland. I work down in UKW, and I want to start pushing further south. I want to add things like Rev Pro and Progress to my list of places where I'm working. I really want to go work with Nebula in Nottingham. They're coming up and doing a lot of good stuff, so I really want to go work with them. Obviously, all of these places, I want to take the firing squad with me. They're great people to have to ride along with. So I'd like to be able to take everybody, all these places with me. But I also want to push further afield. I really want to go work in Japan. I want to go work for Pro Wrestling Society in Korea. They're a great promotion if you've ever seen them. So they're definitely on my radar. A lot of people I want to work with as well. So many people that fortunately you already can work with sometimes. I really want to work Charles Crowley in a match. Fantastic character, fantastic guy. So I think we could tell a good story there. And yeah, like more people further afield as well. I'd love to be able to say I could go to the States and wrestle. I have no idea how to make any of that happen, but you know, try and make those connections and try kind of see if some people can accommodate and make happen with me and work on some stuff there. Personally, so outside of wrestling, a lot of it is mentally focused. Trying to stay more consistent, trying to have more good days than bad. And I said that backwards there and said more bad than good. So that wouldn't help. Trying to make sure that things like weight's more in check, looking after myself's a priority. So making sure that I haven't figured it out yet. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but systems in place so that even when I'm not feeling great, I'm still looking after myself. I'm still eating right. I'm still taking the time to train, work out, even if it is something simple. All that kind of small, consistent wins builds up. And trying to get rid of that kind of really negative, nasty, sometimes voice in the back of my head. And then just, keep pursuing my regular work as well. Outside of wrestling, I work as a voice actor, so I'm doing more of that and trying to do more there, doing more motion capture, trying to work on more projects, vary my portfolio, and all these kind of ways of growing and developing that I can then look at with a bit of happiness and accomplishment, other than, so it becomes, hey, look at everything you've said you're going to do and want to do and have accomplished, as opposed to spending forever beating myself up for stuff I haven't done or haven't done in the right way, or me doing X has caused Y to happen. Everything negative to people around me is somehow my fault. That's all the way through like my teens, early, mid, late 20s. That was very much my mindset, and it needs to be more positively focused now, and keep working through stuff. Even this huge nearly 2-hour dump I've gone on to now helps massively, because I appreciate you taking the time to listen and ask about it, give a platform to talk about it. Hopefully it helps other people who are listening. If not, if it ends up on playback, people can find it and feature, and it's helpful to them. But also being able to put it out there in that kind of hope, in a weirdly like positive way. Like hopefully I haven't just been bumming everyone out and talking about all the negative stuff and doom and gloom, but it's been talked about in a positive way that can help somebody. That's what I'd like to have happen, which is, again, it's one of the reasons why I sought out a conversation with you in the first place, to kind of share, speak, and like I said before, we're all human at the end of the day. Everybody has stuff, and I'm hoping it really inspires people to look after themselves and find help where they need it, have conversations, find support networks. That applies to everybody, like me, you, anyone listening. Like, it's there. So yeah, that's kind of all of my immediate and long-term goals, I think. The 5-year plan, as they call it. So yeah, I think that's kind of everything in a nutshell.
Yeah, so mate, fantastic. So Kirsty has posted a question to you, bud, if you're ready for this one. So sure, Kirsty asks, who do you want to wrestle most, like your dream match?
I would have to say, if I could have anybody, I would love to have a match with Triple H, just because since being a child, he's been like my wrestling hero, as it were. He's been like the guy that got me into wrestling. Hell, I got into Motorhead as a band because Triple H used them as his theme music. Me and my brother used to always go see Motorhead every year at Newcastle City Hall, right up until the unfortunate death of Lemmy. And we've got somewhere on social media there's pictures of us with him and things like that. But yeah, so I'd love to wrestle Triple H. I know he says his working days are behind him, but I'd still love to make it happen. I would also love to work Tama Tonga as well. Really good guy who's done a lot of good stuff in the business over time and has been helpful to me personally. So yeah, I'd love to be able to get in the ring sometime and be like, hey, you've helped me out and this is what I can do. Boom, and have a match. That would be great. But I think they're the first two I kind of think of. Oh, Nakajima as well, just because I think we'll just beat the crap out of each other. It'll be great. Good fun.
That would be an awesome match, to be fair, mate. So thank you so much, Kirsty, for that question, love. Really do appreciate it. So last question for you, mate. We like to end on a high note. Obviously, it,
Yeah.
things can get quite quite deep and quite personal on this. So I really do appreciate you opening up as much as you have done, mate. So I think I can already tell what one of the people's going to be, but this question has stumped quite a few of my guests. The first guest that I asked was Steve Dean, the referee, and he sort of had like a mini meltdown because he was like, "Why have you asked me this? I hate it when people ask me this question." So let's see what your reaction is.
Okay.
Who is on your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Ooh, my Mount Rushmore. Excellent. Wait, how many do I pick then? Is it 4?
4.
Yeah, I thought it was. I had a moment there. I was like, wait, is that 4 or 5? 4. So, Triple H, obviously. William Regal, absolute top boy. Katsuhiko Nakajima, and let me think. There's going to be one more somewhere. Oh, there's going to be one more somewhere. The problem is I'm now struggling to pick just one. God damn it. I was like, yeah, here's 3, no problem. Now I'm down to one more. I'm like, oh, this one. No, this one. No, this one. Damn. You know what? Will Ospreay.
Oh, that is quite a good Mount Rushmore, to be fair, mate. That's a
Yeah.
very good one. So
That's why I was struggling on the last one. I was thinking, like, I want to, being that I'm from the UK, I want to pick a UK wrestler who's doing phenomenal stuff. And I was like, I can't pick just one. There's so many good UK wrestlers out on the worldwide stage now. It's crazy. So yeah. Ospreay.
Sam, mate, Sam. So in essence, mate, that is it. Obviously, we've been talking for nearly 2 hours. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on today, Damien. I really do appreciate you taking the time and obviously opening up and sharing your story with us. I'll let you have the last word, mate. If there's anything you want to promote, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say, go ahead, mate. It's entirely up to you. The floor is yours.
Sure. No, thanks. So obviously, first of all, thanks for having me as well. Like I said a few times through this, I think I appreciate having the chance to come on and just talk. Quite frankly, to be honest, there's also a weird thing with podcasts where I go on and do them. I don't know how much of kayfabe I'm supposed to or expected to be holding. Sometimes I'm in character, sometimes I'm not. But this has been probably the most frank and raw and, to be brutally honest, straightforward conversation I've had. So thanks for that. And the questions, the curiosity, I appreciate you having the patience of a saint to listen to me ramble a lot. I was just going to say I'll promote my own social media, but I think it's on the screen. But just in case somebody's listening and not watching, at Damian Black UK is all of my social media. So I would hugely appreciate a follow and some interaction on there. Because, you know, hey, I need to get to Japan, I need to get to America, and I need progress to pay attention to me. So come on, like I need I need followers. I need branding. No, yeah, my stuff's on there. Like I'm always happy to interact with people. You know, drop comments on my stuff. I tend to reply. DM me, and you know, if it's not anything outrageous, then I will reply. Aside from that, like I say, keep an eye on the firing squad. Keep an eye on obviously where I'm going, where I'm working, but keep an eye on the firing squad as well. Kirsty Love, Tyler Tarantino, Dylan Chase. Keep an eye on them boys. And yeah, if you want to see us as a team, a group, a faction, anywhere near wherever your local promotion is, please put us on their radar. Please make some noise about it. Tag us in it. Tag us in some posts, and we'll share it about as well. And if you are a wrestler who is listening and wants to join, or you know, wants to put themselves forward to come into the firing squad, to help us branch out, to help us get into other promotions, have some help with promotions, and all that kind of stuff, and join the support network we are building. It's a small, close-knit one at the moment, but we're looking to build it. give myself a shout, give Dylan Chase a shout. Dylan does a really good job of looking after the squad as well, and does a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes. So yeah, give one of us a shout. And hopefully, we'll see you at a promotion near you soon. That's about all I can think of to say, because I've rattled and rambled and went on for just over 2 hours now. So I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing me.
So, mate. So, yeah, guys, make sure you go and follow Damian at Damian Black UK. Also, make sure you give Kirsty Love a follow as well. She's absolutely awesome. Thank you for joining me today, guys, on today's very special episode of the Unseen Battles. Make sure you look after each other. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday as well, when I'm going to be talking to Mr. Jack Johnson. Hope you guys will enjoy that one. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, make sure to leave a like. Make sure you share with your friends. Make sure that if you're new around here as well, consider dropping a subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Kirsty, with the final say of the show, just saying thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Damian, for joining me. Thank you, Kirsty, for joining as well in the chat. Hope that everyone has a very good night for the rest of the week. And there we have it, bud. How was that for you?